Welcome back to Healing in Spanglish. It's episode 12. It's your hosts, Metzli and Ikshel, your Boyle Heights besties, figuring out what wellness looks like for us and our people.
So let's get real about healing in all the ways we weren't taught but deeply deserve. So the theme for today is body image and healing our relationship to our own body. And we're going to be diving into kind of like when we became more aware of our body, how beauty standards in society have impacted our relationship, and, you know, what it's looked like for us to heal from all the standards and expectations that people have put on our body. So we'll dive into our childhood and then also our adulthood.
Yep, fun stuff today. Before we get into the conversation, we want to do our weekly check-in. And also we want to acknowledge that today we are filming later than usual, which is why the lighting looks different. Everything's different today. So bear with us. It's been a rough week. Ikshel is finally recovered from being sick. And I've been dying as well in different ways.
Mentally.
But yeah, mentally. And so we sort of had to delay. So thank you for bearing with us. Like I said, before we get in, we're going to do our weekly check-in. So first, we're going to talk about our Spanglish word of the week. Like we also have said, we're going to switch it up. Sometimes it's just going to be Spanish. And with the theme today about body image, we chose the word respeto. And so we just wanted to also touch on like what that word means for us. I don't know if you want to share, like, what does that mean for you?
Yeah,
respect, for those who do not know. Sorry, didn't say that.
Yes. I think for me, it's just, I hope people give me the same respect that I give to them, especially when it comes to, like, my body and, like, family members commenting on it. I'm like, the least you can do is just be respectful and not say anything.
For sure, sure. Yeah, I also think respect for me is, like, just self-love. Like, that is a form of respect to me, to myself. Like, having love for my own body, my own self, who I am. So I feel like it also respect stems from a place of love. I hope like that's what it should be. I think that's what it means to me. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah. Respeto.
Respect yourself and your body.
Yes. And then on the other side, we also wanted to check in about our weekly healing confession. So what are you working on this week?
I am working on accepting rejection. I feel like I've already processed it, but I think sometimes it can be hard when you really want something and, you know, just life doesn't give you what you want and you have to pivot and be comfortable with that. I think that's been mine. And I've noticed that, like, I've gotten more comfortable with it. So I'm really grateful that, like, I've processed, like, all those emotions. But just becoming more comfortable with it.
That's a good one. I feel like rejection is, we have to all go through it. And sometimes it's like harder things than others. Like, we've literally both been through rejection.
I know, in a very similar time period.
Yes. Both big dreams that we had, and things that we were setting up our lives for, and things happen for a reason. Or we both have to trust the universe that it's just the path that we're meant to go on. So
there's a bigger picture we can't see. Our ancestors know, but we don't.
Rejection is redirection. So there must be something else or a different timeline that we were thinking maybe. The thing that I've been thinking about, and I feel like I've shared oftentimes actually of my weekly healing confession, is also, though, very closely tied to this theme. I feel like I'm continuously in the past few months, to be honest, working on the relationship to my body and how it changes, and because of changes in life, that not being so hard on myself. And I feel like I'm also, though, wanting to, or realizing how much I want to give more time back to things that I know actually bring me so much joy, which is moving, and sometimes more in more extreme ways, like workouts that have me dying. I actually enjoy so much. I literally came out of a workout. I went with Alma to a workout, and it was the worst thing ever. Like, quite literally, I'm not even exaggerating, we could not breathe. Like, it was like hard to, like, my lungs, I was like, dude, we're about to go to the hospital, both of us. And then after, I was like, I literally wanted to cry because of how fun it was. But like, I don't recommend that. That's crazy. But no, okay, look, I don't recommend that. That's true. I should not be recommending that. However, I think what it made me realize is how much I appreciate moving, and like, I love high intensity workouts. And I think it just made me realize how important it is to make time for that. Not at the extremity. I shouldn't be saying that. But
it's what works for you.
Exactly. Yeah. But like, it's also not I should be promoting that. Anyways, but it actually made me emotional. Like, and I'm not even exaggerating. It made me emotional to go out of that workout because I haven't done a workout like that in a while. Like like challenge myself that far. That it felt like, oh my God, like it actually brought me so much joy and like adrenaline maybe to do something like that.
That's hilarious.
And then the music was loud and it's just like, I was like, oh man, I miss this. Like I miss this environment.
I know what you mean, yeah.
I'm working on giving myself more, prioritizing like actually doing stuff for myself before I can do all my other projects, because then I'm not going to be able to contribute the way I really would like to show up.
Yeah, your cup needs to be full.
That's the air fryer.
So body image is sometimes something we didn't choose to become aware of from a very early young age. So I'm curious, like, when was the first time you started feeling self-conscious about your body?
Yeah. Isha and I were talking about this and really like digging way back to the first memories we even remember having, more maybe on than what, at least in my experience, was a negative experience with body or self, because I think both of us grew up with moms who really did not ever make us feel like there was something wrong with our bodies at any point. Yeah. And probably the first memory I could think of, or at least recollect, was in 7th grade when I joined the cheerleading team in middle school, and I was so excited about doing it. And there was boys in my grade who were my friends at the time, who I thought were my friends, I guess. Who made comments on the hair on my arms and said like you have hair, like that's weird, like making comments. And that was the first time I ever heard something like wrong with me growing hair on my arms. And I was like, oh, like I didn't know. I don't know. I was so confused, and they're like, that's weird. Like I can't, like laughing at me. Like, it was so odd. Yeah. And I just remember that day I went home and shaved my arms. I never did it after that day because I was like, that's a lot of work, first of all. But yeah, I think that's probably like the first memory I ever had. It was really sad looking back and actually thinking about it, because I don't think I actually ever really talked about it. Maybe in therapy I talked about it early on. But yeah, that's the first memory I ever had. People commenting on the hair on my body, and I think that made me insecure for a long time about like my arms. Yeah. Like hair on my arms. And I was like, cannot believe that was like something that was like of question. I don't care anymore. Like I don't, but it made me realize like, oh shoot. I think it sort of like got in my head because it felt like it was validation from the social environment in middle school. And I felt like I had to present myself in a certain way in order to be accepted by everyone there. So yeah, that's probably like the first memory I had. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
I know. Freaking boys.
Especially when you're like 13 years old.
Literally.
I feel like you're still figuring out the first time your identity. You that. Yeah. It's really scary. It's like your developmental ages. It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's why it influences you though, because that's like so early. It is really sad though, like that people can influence you. Obviously, it's at that age where like you take those things to heart because it's like the first time you're ever hearing those things. So yeah, I really got in my head, and I think then from then on, like I started hearing comments maybe in high school, and we'll talk about that more after. But I think that's my first memory. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, mine was like growing up, we had like these family friends that we would like go hang out with a lot, like over the weekends. I just spent a lot of time with them. But I remember that they were always very like hyper focused on their beauty and like their appearances, like that was their thing. And I remember being like maybe like around the same age, maybe like 12, 13 years old, because we knew them for a long time, and they would always watch Nuestra Belleza Latina, if y'all know what that is. And it's basically a competition about like beauty, but obviously we know that the people that are there, like they're like super thin, right? They're like in bikinis all the time, right? They're being glamorized for like their features, which is very European centric features. So I always felt like they would always tell me like, oh mija, we should put you in a contest like that. We should fix you up like your hair. We should shave this. We should do makeup like this. And like I think like my mom was there, but like my mom was like in and out sometimes, and I would just be like hanging out there and watching it. And I think like that was the first time where I was like, damn, like, is that what I should look like? Like, I don't feel like I look like that, especially because I'm like brown too. And like obviously most of them were like white, not white, but like white passing, and just very light skinned. So I feel like that very early on affected me because I feel like I was never a skinny kiddo. I feel like I was, I don't know, just,
Yeah.
like,
but we're into the standards that these freaking like, shows tell
exactly,
you. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
Like, I just feel like I was never aware of, like, my body.
Right.
But ever since they would, like, tell me that, like, I feel like ever since that time, I was more self-conscious about, like, my body, like, my weight. And I tried, like, even doing, like, makeup and things. Yeah, but that's, like, the very first memory that I had. Because I was just surrounded by it. So it kind of felt like I had to be part of it.
And the media, too. Yeah. And we all have those tios, family friends who are super hyper fixated on body for some reason.
It's crazy.
Insane. And complexion, which kind of goes hand in hand, but
colorism.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, that was the first time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the first thing we wanted to dig into is the upbringing, our experience in our own households, childhood, as well as the social interactions that we ended up experiencing in school, whether it's even as young as elementary school, middle school to high school. Yeah. So first I just wanted, because I think every single one of our experiences is different, especially in our households, how we grew up and even what our parents grew up knowing and their experience alone of what their relationship was to talking about our own bodies, what that meant, what that looked like. So I'm curious, like, what sort of was the norm in your own household when it came to body image, when it came to if there was any pressure or no pressure to sort of look a certain way? Was that ever an influence from your parents and or any family members at all?
Yeah, no, I was very fortunate that my mom always taught me to, like, love my body. I was actually never allowed to shave my legs, my arms, or ever do my eyebrows. Like, I just got my eyebrows done for the very first time at age 24.
Yeah.
Because my mother was very like, no, Miha, you have to love your body. Like, like,
this is what makes you,
right? Us. Like, God brought you, and this is what he made you, right? Like, everything about you is perfect. And so that was something that she would always instill in me.
Love that.
And she also never let me, like, dye my hair or do makeup. She never really taught me, like, anything when it came to, like, beauty things that you see in the mainstream media. She was never, like, insisting on that. And I think that, I don't know, it was weird because I struggled with it, like, seeing, like, what was on mainstream and also, like, the social interactions I had. But my mom was like, no, like, you are beautiful. Like, she always tried to tell me. So I think I was very fortunate that she instilled in me those ideas. But yeah, it was just very difficult to navigate when I was having, like, different views, when I was stepping out of my house.
Right.
Yeah. What about for you?
Yeah. Wait, what about, if you want to share at all, like, with your dad? Did your dad ever have any commentary? Not really.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No. I'm just trying to think because I was like, my mother was very uplifting. But there was times where my dad would make comments about my body sometimes. Like, he'd probably say, like, you look a little, like, chubby or things like that. But it wasn't anything, like, super extreme. But I think, like, he's just very blunt. And I think sometimes it comes off in a very hard way, right? Or I can perceive it, like, in a harmful way. But yeah, sometimes he would make comments about, like, even, like, what I wore sometimes, like, why are you wearing that? Or, like, why are you wearing that jewelry? Just very hateful. He's a hater.
Right.
That's what it is. Yeah, but my mom, I was closer to my mom, so I don't think I gave a fuck.
Right, yeah. You're like,
I was like, whatever. I look good.
12 years old.
No, literally, I was so sassy. But yeah.
I was just curious. Okay.
What about you?
Yeah. No, what's crazy is that Ishad and I actually had very similar experiences, fortunately, with our mothers who very much prioritized and hopefully a lot of others did too, but I know that's not always the case. But yeah, I also grew up with a mom who really did prioritize making me feel like who I was, the natural features that I had are what made me beautiful and made me special. And so I really always did grow up embracing those things. Like, I loved my thick eyebrows. Like, I loved it. And she always, like, said that. And yeah, she always affirmed me as well. So I never felt like negative comments from my mom at all as well. And I also had rules of not being able to do things. I think when I shaved, I didn't tell my mom. I just did it. So yeah, and also with makeup, my mom, though, even herself never really wore makeup. So she also sort of, like, never could probably do too much, but she also sort of always, like, embraced her own beauty. And so I also admired that from my mom because I always thought my mom is such a beautiful person, the way she looks, that I was like, I look like my mother. So for me, like, I was like, oh, I don't need that stuff, So I did always embrace it. But similarly, the outside world, in school especially really did affect sort of my perception. And then my dad was a man of few words, to be honest. So my dad actually never really made any comments. If there was any comments, maybe he'd make it to my mom, to me, but not to me directly.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, why is she wearing that? You know, but more like, you know, dad protectiveness, but like not, I don't know. He would never say anything directly to me, so I wouldn't even know.
Maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, but I will say family members, like tias, can't even get started. It's so unfortunate how I even hear to this day people in my own family and many other families who say things to young girls. Like, oh, damn, you're eating another plate. Like, I don't think people realize how that can also be very damaging to like spotlight a child for wanting more food as if it's a problem, or for even themselves saying like, oh, I'm not eating carbs today. Like, I don't know why all the tias love to say that. Like, I'm not eating tortillas. Like, I didn't ask you, but okay. Like, always making comments about, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. And I'm just like, okay, no one asked you. And also, like, I don't think they realize how the kids are hearing that. And then also will think, oh, something's wrong. Like, I shouldn't be doing that also then, you know? And people can choose how they want to eat and everything and, you know, diets, etc., whatever. But the influence, I don't think people realize, like, these are our tias, our moms, or whatever. We look up to them and we hear what they say and we, like, take that in, you know? So the extended family, that was a whole other thing for sure. And school as well. And so what do you feel like, since you got this positive messaging in your own household, but then there's like this polarized side where, like, in school, maybe it was not the same experience as we all probably experienced. Like, how do you not feel that one outweighed the other? Like, how, even though you heard this positive messaging at home, did it still, even in school, affect you and you were listening to it or like taking it in or sort of like letting it affect the way you felt about yourself? And why do you think that happens to us at that age?
I mean, I think like most of it is belonging, right? And trying to like fit in. I think like for me, I don't know. I had very polarized views, like my mom uplifting me at home, but then I would go to school and I would have situations where, like, I remember very vividly, like in PE, like the girls would talk about like our body, right? And like their bathroom as like we're changing to be like, oh my God, like you're so skinny. Oh my God, like I love this. I even remember once there was a conversation around like boob sizes.
Really?
Yeah. And we were like in middle school. I was like, okay. Well, because it was a, you know, public restroom, so everybody could hear everybody's business. But yeah, I just feel like also in middle school, a lot of the girls that I was friends with, like at the time, like were like very focused on like, you know, like makeup, like looking good, like kind of like appealing to the male gaze. And I don't know, I feel like I was trying to fit into that. There was times where like they would even tell me like, oh my God, like you should get your eyebrows done, or like we should go do this, like related to like a beauty thing. So I feel like at times I did feel pressure. I will say I do have memories of like the reason why I shaved my legs for the very first time, probably in middle school, was because everybody was shaving, and in PE, especially in PE,
you had to wear shorts, and people would comment, that's what happened for me too.
That was the biggest influence. And so I remember one day I locked myself in the bathroom and I wasn't coming out. I was shaving my legs, and my mom like opens the bathroom and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm shaving my legs. And she was so devastated. It was so bad. Like,
there's no way. It's inevitable.
She was so sad. She was like, I can't believe you did that, mija. Like, I tried so hard to tell you that you were beautiful. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. And she was just really sad.
But it's so sad because it gets in. It gets in your head.
It beats you. And I think I also like just was a very vulnerable child. And I think, you know, I was just trying to fit in. So it was really hard. But I think like in regards to like makeup and things like that, like I think similar to you, my mom would always like help make me embrace my natural beauties. And she'd always tell me, she's like, you are your ancestors, right? Like you have to embrace like your natural features, right? And not try to change anything. So I feel like to some degrees, like at least like my appearance and my face, I didn't really try to shift because I never did my eyebrows or I never shaved like my mustache or anything. But I do remember like the legs were definitely like a big one.
That one was very popular in middle school. Yeah. What about your relationship to your like physical body? I know you said like people commented, like you heard conversations about girls like talking about boob size. Was there ever a point that you can remember where like the shift in how you felt about your own body per se, because obviously we also go through puberty, right? And so like our bodies actually do really start to change in different ways. Do you remember like going through puberty and like things shifting in your mind in both like could be a positive or negative way? Like do you remember when that happened at all? Or I mean, if you ever felt different, or you always felt like actually when it came to your body, you never actually felt.
Yeah, no, I think like maybe in high school, like my ninth grade year, I think that's when I was like more aware of my body, especially because like, you know, I feel like in high school, something just shifts. Like you're no longer like a little kid. It kind of just feels like there's cliques and all this stuff. So I felt like I always had to, you know, present myself in a certain way. And I think, I don't know if I remember being like insecure about my body necessarily, but I wouldn't say like it was something that was like eating at me and like I felt like I had to do extreme things in my life, but I was definitely like aware of it, right? And like I think there was times where like I was like, oh my God, I wish I looked like that, or I wish I had a lighter skin tone. I actually grew up hating my dark skin.
Really?
Yeah, I had a lot of hate towards my skin because I think just the people I surrounded myself with were always like, you know, like making people who are lighter feel amazing and kind of speaking badly about like Black and brown bodies. So I think I just always hated my skin in that sense, but never about like my body, I would say too much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I think it became more of an issue in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why was that?
I'm trying to think. I just think I think COVID was the reason why. Because when COVID hit, I gained like almost like 70 pounds. I was just going through a really rough time. So like I got like physically bigger and I feel like it fucked with my body dysmorphia. And so ever since that happened, I always feel like what I see in the mirror, I see like a big person, but like obviously like I don't look like that. I think it's just like my perception. And I'm never like comfortable with my body even today. Like I'm still struggling with it. But I feel like COVID, that was when it like hit, because like I went to like a super extreme when I was like kind of like in a good place, and so like now I've been trying to heal and find like a middle ground that like works for my body.
Got it. Okay. I was curious because I feel like I the reality is I think a lot of us unfortunately like struggle with our own body, and it is such a popular conversation when I talk to a lot of women about body dysmorphia, like us experiencing that. And it sucks because I feel like actually in this past year is the first time I actually experienced that. I really I understood it through people who I knew who were close to me who would say it and like understood the concept of it, but never truly understood the experience of it until I actually felt it. Which is so weird to me that it happened so late in life. Yeah. But I definitely think I started thinking about my body in high school too, like in ninth grade, because I don't know what the shift is in high school, but maybe it's just like there's so much more convo socially about it. Like high school was probably the first time that I started hearing boys talking about how much they liked booties and boobs, and I was so like shook by that. I've never heard that before up until that. Like I was really not exposed to much in middle school. And so like
the way that I'm like thinking of people too, because I'm like
we went to the same school.
I'm like, ugh.
Well, I hung out with like a particular group that I think
I'm like, I remember
very explicitly, and I didn't take it as anything personal because it's not like they attacked me. No one ever like said anything to me.
They're just their conversations.
But just conversations. And I think that influenced, though, like hearing them talk about the girls they like, I'm like, okay, so every boy must care about this, which means like if they care about where certain parts of my body should look a certain way, then it's important that I also, in order to ever be someone that's attractive, that I need to present myself that way, is sort of, I think, like what I like subconsciously internalized. Didn't even consciously like, this is what I'm gonna do, and I never even did anything really, you know. But I think that's what I felt like. Oh, that's what boys like. Like I think that's what I thought.
That's interesting too, because I remember you were surrounded by like boys,
a lot of boys. Yeah. And I think that's what happened though, and like I think I just heard it a lot. And then I think also like in college is where I started doing strength training, and I felt so strong. I did it for my own like confidence level. I just was not confident on my own. And I did it for my own confidence. And then you start getting like a ton of what feels like affirmation from your like friends, which mean well, right? Like, ooh, you look good, or ooh, like this is like a lot of affirming comments about my body, then I think even though they meant well, it actually damaged me a little bit more.
Yeah.
Where then I felt like I had to maintain a certain physique in order to like live up to everyone else's sort of like standards that I now like what felt like I put on myself.
Yeah.
Because I literally did strength training, not for the reason to look a certain way, but as a result of strength training, that happens to your body changes. I became leaner, and then like everyone, I don't know, it just sort of felt like pressure, like, oh shit, I have to maintain this sort of body. And then, you know, after college, I did not like, things changed. I was not working out at the same extent. And then it got in my head so much that I felt like, oh shoot, like I'm not going to be accepted by other people for looking the way I look now. And yeah, I don't know. It just sucks how like it could even be the opposite way. Like people could mean well and say nice things, but there's like so much pressure attached to that too, to like also maintain that whatever it is, that sort of like body type, I guess. And that messed with my mind a lot.
No, that's real. It's really interesting because I feel like it showed up for us as adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we talked a little bit about kind of like the influences at school and at home, but I'm kind of curious, like, what about within your family or extended family? Like, how did you feel like body comparison in your family with like cousins influence how you were aware of your body?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, like I said earlier, there definitely was a lot of comments from family. I don't think, to be honest, I didn't grow up with like, even though I have a huge family in Los Angeles, I actually didn't hang out with them a lot. My family sort of like, my mom sort of kept me away, I would say. Not like you can't be with your cousins or anything. Like I think she actually really wanted me to build strong relationships with my cousins and still wants me to. But more like, we sort of lived a little bit of a different life. Like a lot of them went to religious school together. Like they all went to this one school, and my mom took me to an indigenous school.
Yeah.
So very different
lives.
Different things, you know? So I really don't feel like I probably heard as much as like some of my cousins my age heard growing up. But I do have memories of like my cousins saying things. Like I remember one of my cousins, she's going to know exactly who she is actually. We were taking a bath together. There's like the three of us girls. And one of my cousins says, I want big watermelon or melon boobs like my mom. Like it was the funniest thing. I already know one of them's gonna hear it. I forget what she compared it to, but it was so funny. But you know, like even though that was like joking and funny, like those comments, like we were all being influenced by like what we thought we would want. And so I heard those things too. And like, oh, like that's what's attractive, you know? I don't know. So I think I did definitely like hear a lot of things from family members. Like I said, tias who said a lot of things. Would I say it influenced me? Luckily, not as much as maybe some of my little cousins might be influenced, only because...
Like your little cousins now?
Yeah, like my little cousins now, only because I really started to understand the comments they would make until I was older. And by then, I feel like I understood, like, y'all are projecting right now.
Yeah.
Please. The only comments that did get to me now that I think about it at a young age, my grandma and her siblings used to say, like, all these comments about my sister's, like, light skin, saying how beautiful she was. And yeah, like, period. Good for you, girl. But in a way that was sort of like
putting somebody
not
else
the
down.
same for you, you know? And I actually always loved my brown skin, but hearing that, I didn't realize, I just sort of assumed like, oh, I'm just not pretty. Like I thought that at a really young age, like, oh, I'm just not pretty. I got all brains, I guess. No beauty is what I really thought, you know? And because academically I did well. So I think I sort of thought like, oh, my sister's like pretty and I'm the smart one and she's not that smart, I guess. I'm just kidding. She's actually very smart. I'm just kidding. No, but they did say comments about her light skin, her light eyes, and me, you know, they didn't say anything, you know? So I think those are like the biggest comments that did maybe get to me in a way that sort of maybe influenced like, oh, I'm just not pretty, you know? But then later on, when I finally saw other people who look like me, that I was like, oh my God, they were beautiful. Then I started to embrace it more. But I think early on, I didn't at first. Yeah. What about you? I know.
I also grew up in a similar situation. I remember specifically because we would go to Guatemala a lot, like growing up. And so I just remember like very vividly from a very young age, like I have some cousins that like are kind of white passing. I don't know how, somehow. It's crazy because like there's some of us that are like really dark, like morenita. And then like somehow my mom's younger sister, she's like white. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know.
Grandparents,
literally,
great grandparents.
Yeah. So, anyways, I remember like she has two daughters, which are my cousins, and I always felt like this weird competition with my cousin because like they would always make so many comments about like their beauty and like their features, and like she's so blanquita and el pelo bien canchito, and so like I remember like listening to that and being like, girl, what the fuck? What about me? And like it's weird because I'm like,
some love.
I'm like, because like I don't feel like I got the same like you know, like positive affirmations about my beauty and my skin tone. I didn't. I definitely did not. Like even for my mother too, it hurt a little bit because like obviously she was uplifting me, but she would always make comments about them too. And I'm like
maybe she didn't even realize it either.
Yeah. I think it definitely is like very internalized, and that's why like we tend to like just normalize it. And so like I think like growing up subconsciously, like that like was always in the back of my mind. And so like I think that was the most that I would hear. And then like I think my family also unintentionally is also like very focused on like being skinny, but not like in a very crazy unhealthy way, but I guess just like their idea of like health is skinny,
right?
And so like that's not the case at all.
I know.
And so like I feel like they always make comments about my body in that sense. Like my aunt too, who was recently here from Guatemala, like maybe about a year ago, she's like, oh, like estás bien maciza de tus piernas, like estás bien delgada, like all this. And I don't think like she means bad, like I think she's trying to compliment me, but I'm like, then the pressure gets to you. Like I feel like even now, like I think about it, I'm like, fuck, I've been overeating, like oh my god, like my body, it gets to you.
Even if it doesn't in the moment, later on you're like
I'm like, hold up. But I think just like those comments like still live within me subconsciously, and so like I think that's why I like still have insecurities towards like my body image, my body dysmorphia. But like for sure it's just normalized because people, you know, obviously the beauty standards is that you have to be skinny and white and you're pretty. And then if you're not that, then you're ugly.
Well, let's talk about that, because I also want to touch on like, where does this even come from our family? Like, why do our families, our tias, our probably tios too, and everyone, like, why does everyone normalize this, or where does this come from? And a big part of it is media. Like a big part of it is what we see in all the different avenues where we consume anything. And so I'm curious for you, like sort of to that question or theme, what were like the media outlets that maybe both your parents or, you know, family grew up on and you grew up on that maybe you think sort of like also push this narrative of how women, specifically us talking about women, but, you know, men in a different way, different conversation, but women's bodies are perceived or should look, right? And how that like sort of passes down from generation to generation. Like what are the things that maybe your family and you saw?
Well, I mean, both of us grew up in the 2000s, so there wasn't a lot of representation at the time. So unfortunately I was consuming a lot of like novelas where people were very slim, very white, had a lot of European features, right? Very white passing. So that is a lot of what I like grew up. I grew up watching like everything on Univision, like Sinceros My Paraíso, which was very hyper. That one was about like plastic surgery and like boobs and having to look a certain way. So I feel like that was subconsciously like always in the back of my mind, like this is what you have to look like for men to like you. It was always from a lens of like you had to embody this to be appealing to the male gaze. So that was definitely a lot of the media. And then I grew up watching Disney Channel.
Yes, I was about to say Disney was also
Disney Channel was like not really representative
at all.
But I don't know if I was thinking about it in that sense. Like
you might not even be thinking about it though. It might have just like
subconscious. I think like when it comes
you idolize.
That's true. Like maybe it affected like my colorism and like how I feel about like my skin, but not really like I wasn't really looking at their bodies. Mainly like their skin tones. I was like, there's nobody there that looks like me. But I also eat the show up, so it's weird because I'm like, but that was I think the main media I consumed.
And you think for your family too? Like a lot of it was like novelas?
For sure. Yeah, because I feel like there's representation TV, now. Like, and we're still fighting for more. So for sure my parents consumed.
And we still struggle with our own like relationship to our bodies, even with there being so much more representation.
It's true.
Because people still talk about it like that.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of media did you consume?
Yeah, I grew up on a lot of magazines. Like a lot of those,
what
like
kind of magazines?
Those magazines, dude, I wish I could name them, and I'm sure people could name them, but like those magazines where like you had a bunch of quizzes and Disney and all these famous people, whatever, and I just like loved doing
I know exactly what you're talking
about. I just consumed it so much. But even if I didn't meet, I wasn't consciously being like, ooh, that's how I should look. I mean, that's what I was consuming. That's what my brain took in, and that's what I saw. And I mean, everywhere on TV too, and even in class too, we learned a lot even about how, especially Latina women, were perceived on media. And the only roles that they had in shows were like this sexy Latina.
Sexualized.
Then I thought too, like, that is the way to be liked. Like, I really do think I internalized that, because that is the only way I saw like a Latina on TV. Yeah. And I admired these Latinas, though. They are badass, like all the ones that I saw. But then I also, though, on the other side, sort of perceived it as like, well, that I idolize that person, so I want to aspire to be like her, and that's in all the ways, right? And so I think that just like sort of normally happens when you idolize someone, So I would say magazines, Disney Channel too, and obviously more recently, which is also sort of maybe inevitable for us, is social media now. So it's not like we can even escape what we used to have access to. I mean, even now we see social media, and there's a lot more range, but there is also a ton of things on media that still sort of normalize and sort of like push the same like narrative, I think, of how we should look. I think there's a lot more, and it depends where you're at in social media, but still, I mean, at least when you first get social media, I don't know when you did, but there still is like, all these models and oh my God, even now with like AI and all the filters and all these things that you can change by yourself. Girl, I didn't even know people had I didn't even know people weren't actually what I was seeing, like, on my screen, until people started telling me, like, that's not real, right? Anyways, I just, like, feel like there's so much stuff that you don't even know is, like, real, or what people are doing, or, when I think about, like, how my little cousins are seeing stuff they see of, like, these girls that they look up to, I'm like,
I would hate being a little kid in this time and age with phones. I would hate it.
I know, it is really scary. But yeah, I would say those are like the main forms of media that, I mean, it's kind of inevitable, where we see it and stuff. I'm also curious, I know you touched on like our idea of like healthy being skinny. And I think it's really interesting, because there is so much also, and I'm sure maybe not, maybe some people would think, or I think we still to some extent, right? There's like this other side where we see on social media where people hate on like, wow, I can't believe you're promoting fatness, or you're promoting to look like that, right? They're like, that's not healthy either. So there's a lot of hate on the other side, right? Of like people saying, well, why would you promote that? Like, look, and I think people lose the part of like what the message is out, like actually sort of trying to get across, like with people of all different, the way they look, sizes, right? Anything. Sort of like the message feels a little bit lost. So I'm curious, like, where do you also think like there's this like idea of why like healthy is skinny, when that's actually not the case? Like healthy actually is not skinny in so many ways. And where do you think that comes from? Because for me, when I think about, is also like, funny enough, because I'm wearing this thing, but like I think about like,
what is it?
Herbalife.
Oh, Herbalife.
Yeah. Where like we also, I don't know about you, but like I grew up with my grandma Chela, who would take us to
my dad did it too.
And like it was just like this whole idea, even in our own like little cultural, communities, like you have to drink certain things, and it was like promoted as like healthy to like look a certain way, and it actually was not. I don't know, like, do you have any recollection of like where like healthy sort of, or where do you even think that comes from? Like healthy means skinny, when actually that really is not the case?
I don't even know, honestly. I think that's just the assumption we make, right? That if somebody is skinny, like that's just the default, without even knowing it. And I don't know. I think like people just think that because somebody's skinny, they're more capable of doing more things. So I don't know, whatever, they're more healthier. But Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's like been the media influence that people have consumed for so long that that's like what they assume. And I think a lot about like, you know, the marketing of like Herbalife, you know, like different things that they've like tried to promote, right? Because I remember my dad did Herbalife too. And it was very much like, you have to look like this. You have to be very thin. You have to do this and that. So yeah, I just think it was very rigid without like considering like so many like health factors, right? And like it's like everyone is so different and complex. So it's like you can't really put like a body type to the idea of healthy. So yeah, I just think like that's what that is, honestly. Like people just make that connection, but it's like no, like some of our bodies can carry more muscle or more you know, retain like more water weight or like more fat, and it's harder. Like there's just so many layers to it that like it's just so stupid. It's so stupid.
It scares me when we like talk about skinny being so healthy, because there's so many unhealthy things on the other side of
it is scary.
How extreme people will go because of how much that's like internalized to be skinny, of how underweight they can be, in the sense of like not consuming nutrients and you know these obviously extreme cases too, where like you're there's so many health issues too, which is like just a whole separate thing, but it just also worries me on that side too, just like how that sort of promotes this whole other array of things, extreme practices, ways of living in order to look a certain way, you know?
I know. It's
insane. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I think a lot about like the like America's Best Model shows, right? Like how like people that were literally skinny, they can be considered fat, which is insane. So I think
not eating, not doing right, all this stuff that's
like I've seen like stuff that it's like some like you don't want to be on skinny, what is it called, skinny talk, because like it's crazy. They're like, and some of the girls are like, like when I have a craving, I just don't eat. I don't eat anything. Like it's super extreme. And I'm like, that is crazy, because like then you can get into like eating disorders, and then like that is so scary. Like you were talking about nutrients, right? Like it affects then your mental well-being, like everything about you. So
it is insane.
Yeah, it is just really scary. I just think that that's what we've normalized as a society, and so it's been kind of hard to just be accepting, even though there's so much representation. It's so hard.
Anyways, so I just wanted to comment on that, because it's such a, even that whole world of things, I think is just like also dangerous. But I was also thinking about right now when you said like everyone's way that they carry weight, right? Whatever it is, muscle, where we store fat, right? I think also there's like this extra layer of pressure for women where, all women have pooches. You know, we all have our little like pooch. And I honestly didn't know that for a long time, that we just had a fucking pooch.
Also because of our uterus. So like just by default, it's
exactly. Like, no, but I thought it was so funny because like I really did not know. And I was just like, what the is wrong with me? Like, why do I have this thing here? It's normal. But that's why also like, I think this is like so unfair that women have like so many different things about our bodies that are just like part of just like life, that make us so special, right? That like allow us to actually like create life and to, you know, carry it, and all these things. And it's just like our bodies are just so different. Also, I've seen things about like how the reason women can't even have abs, right, as fast as men can, is because of the extra layer protection that we have like on our bodies, because of women who decide to have kids. Like we already there's just like so many different factors too, that like why our bodies are so different. And why we can't have the same expectations of like being able to do something, because our bodies are just so uniquely different. And there's just like so many issues, even with like body weight, right? Like when we have this like scale of healthy weight is, for my age, let's say 25. I don't know what it actually is, but like it could be something from like 120 to like 160. I don't know, 150. Let's say. I don't know what it is. That in itself is also dangerous, because that does not account for like the ratio of fat to like muscle in a body, you know, in your body. And it just like sort of erases like, well, this just weight in general is bad, but like that's not actually necessarily the case. So it's just so interesting to me, because like there are so many factors that are left out that we just like sort of like, well, if you're this, or you carry a little, you have longhas or something, like whatever it is, like that's unhealthy, or that you know you're fat. It's just crazy to me, like how there's so many so many expectations and layers to it, you know?
I know, thinking about it right now, I'm like, before I came here, I actually looked at myself and I was like, fuck.
I
was like, this shit is so wide. And I was being so mean to myself in the mirror. And I was
it's
like,
so bad.
Yeah, it's just, it's so weird. Yeah, but I think something that you said earlier too, when you're talking about like measurements and if you're 25, you should be between this weight. I also remember learning that like, the BMI, do you remember when we used to do that like in grade school? Yeah. Like a lot of that was a standard made only measuring like male white bodies, right? So it's like, how can we,
which most things are.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Clothes. But I also think that's crazy because like that is still the standard. Like when you go to the doctor, I'm sure that's what they measure.
That's what we get.
But it's like, what about me as a brown person? And like my genes are different.
Exactly.
Like, it's just weird.
Girl, and then we're told like, dude, my friends and I were cracking up about this, but like we got ourselves weighed or whatever, BMI or whatever, and one of my friends, literally regular girl, never thought anything about her body in any negative way that way, was told that she was obese. And we were cracking up because we were like, this is literally hysterically a joke. Like, what do you mean obese? Like, and she like, it was just ridiculous because of BMI, because of like the ratio of whatever range you fall under. If you go over it, well, you're obese now. And I'm like, so that's stupid. Obese? How is that possible? You're not even taking it like it just didn't make sense.
Everything is so fucking outdated too. Like,
it's so outdated.
So annoying.
It's so outdated. Yeah, but I think it's so interesting how many factors there are. But media does influence all of this and how we just sort of like view our own bodies, unfortunately. Yeah. The last thing we just wanted to touch on before we close out the conversation is really just briefly, because this is such an extensive conversation that we could have. And so this is part one of what could be many future episodes. But really just talking about, we still, as we both shared, have had our own journeys with our own bodies and still continue to struggle, to find ways that we have reframed it in a positive way. And, you go in and out of it and sort of that might be always the case. Yeah. But I think what we wanted to just like touch on briefly is what are the things that have helped us over our lives so far, that have helped us reframe or work towards building an even healthier relationship with our own bodies and selves. So curious, like, where do you remember the work that you've tried doing to get to a better place with your body, and or what can you share that you think has helped you that you would want other people to know too, if they're sort of in the same place that we've been in?
I think like obviously as I've gotten older, I've had more autonomy over what I consume. So I've been more intentional about like social media. So like before I used to follow like a lot of models, famous people.
Unfollow them.
Like I just like cleansed my entire feed and I was like, this is good idea. Because like you said earlier, right? It's subconscious. You're still consuming it, but like I just removed all of that from like everywhere. And every time I see it, I put like, I'm not interested, just so like this isn't what I'm consuming and it's regular and showing up for me. So I feel like that has helped for sure 100%.
That's a good first step. That's easy to do.
Very easy.
Unfollow all of those people you don't need to be following.
Like, I don't need to glamorize anyone. So that's definitely helped. And I think just like just becoming comfortable with the idea that like our bodies will always change and like weight fluctuates just like everything else in life, right? Like, there might be times where I might be going through a hard time and maybe I do need to cope by eating something that maybe isn't the greatest for me, but it's going to feel great in that moment. So like just being more like kinder to myself. Like every time I try to put myself down, I try to catch myself. So that's like my way of like doing it, try to nip it in the butt where I'm like, stop being mean to yourself in the mirror. Like you're fine. You're fine. And then just obviously like, I think moving my body has also somehow made me feel more confident.
For sure.
I don't know how, but I just feel great. Like I just feel good. Like I just feel good. The endorphins,
everything.
So I feel like that has helped me too. But I'm still navigating that journey. Like I think those are the things that are working for me now. If y'all have any tips, let us know, because I'm also doing we're all healing, and like something I've always been self-conscious about is like my little pooch area, because when I gained a lot of weight in 2020, like I got really big, and so like I have a lot of loose skin in the very bottom area, so that's another part I'm still healing, and like stretch marks too, another story. But I think I'm just like trying to accept my body for what it is, and at the end of the day, it's like every time I talk shit about myself or like my body, like I'm offending like my lineage and my ancestors, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many beautiful people in my lineage that I love and adore and I would never say horrible things to, but it's like, why am I saying that shit to myself?
Exactly.
Like I do not deserve to be hearing that narrative. And I also just think like social media wants you to hate yourself and wants you to hate your body, wants you to hate your skin. And it's like, no, fuck you. Like I'm going to love myself. I'm going to love myself and accept myself for what I am. And yeah, like as long as I'm happy, like, just those gentle reminders like help me. Like whenever I'm doing something negative in my head, I'm like, stop it, girl. Stop. But
that is, I love that about what you're saying about how we view other people. Because when we think about the people we love in our lives, our friends that we admire, our parents, our moms, whoever it is, like we, Stonali trying to get in. I was like, Stonali trying to get in. You're like, she's trying to get in. I was just gonna say that, like, I really liked your point about how we view other people, like our moms, even each other. I'm like, girl, nothing's wrong with you.
And I never like that's not what I'm looking at their body.
That's the thing. Like the way we view other people and the way we just like unconditionally love other people for who they are, and like we think they're so beautiful. I'm like, we are so hard on ourselves because like my friends don't think that about me. Like, oh, like she needs to like, lose. And if they do say that, they are not your friends, or they're projecting and they need to go. Yeah. Anyways, but like it is so true. Like the way we view other people that we love, like we don't see them in a way that's like, I love you, but like you gotta do this or like you know, that's just not the way it is. So yeah. Oh, hey, girlfriend.
No, that's a really real one because I think about that a lot. I'm like, every time I'm being so mean to myself, I'm like, I never even notice people's body or like anything. And it's like, why am I so hard on myself, girl?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah. And I would say also for myself, like, again, the thing that's so cool about like our podcast is that, you know, it's about healing. It's about the process. It's not about like, it's not healed. It's not called healed. We're not healed. We're not done. Healed. And this is one topic that I feel like we are continuously trying to heal from, and it's a process, and it also happens together. And so I too am like still trying to work through it, especially this year. I feel like I really am still trying to get there. And there are things that also help me. And I think one of the biggest things is also like, to your point about our ancestors and our lineage, like I'm so proud that like there are so many more women who are so proud and also like love and have confidence with how they look and embrace it, like embrace all the natural features that we grew up with and all the just like things that just are part of life and are ever evolving. And so I feel like I definitely am on the same sort of like line where I have tried to surround myself by people who like see it that way and really are trying to embrace themselves more for who they are. And that also makes me sort of like feel the same way, like, like I love my eyebrows too, or I love the way my hair is too, or, you know, whatever it is. And so I definitely think like a big thing is like who you surround yourself by, and that makes a huge difference for sure.
Definitely does. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a process for sure. And catching yourself when you do feel that way or need to pause yourself, like, wait, where's this coming from? Because there's nothing wrong with me. And I also agree that moving your body, I think where it comes from too is like, if something brings you joy, like that is going to make you happy and that is going to make you feel better about yourself, because whatever it is, reading, even if it's not like walking or running or something like that, if you're doing things that you love, like you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to love, as long as you love what you're doing and you're like doing as much as you feel like you know you have capacity for, because life is hard after you graduate and you're trying to do work and you're trying to do projects and you're trying to all this stuff. Like as long as you're like making time to be like reaffirm like all the amazing things you are doing, and you're giving to those things, like you're trying, you know, you're doing your best.
You're trying your best.
That's important. Good, affirmations are great.
Like this is your body, your one body, your vessel that's carrying you every single day through your life. So
you have to love it.
Gotta show yourself some love.
So to close out the conversation, we're gonna do our little fun activity as we always close out. So we're gonna do a compliments challenge. You're only allowed to do compliments based on your appearance, things that you love about yourself. You know, we're not good. Yes, we know that you're smart. We know that you're driven, all that stuff. But we're going to talk about what you love based on just like who you are, appearance wise, physical wise, whatever it is that comes to mind that you love about yourself. So it is very uncomfortable doing it on camera, but we're going to do that. Go first. Okay. I already said it, but I love my eyebrows. I love that I grew up with thick eyebrows. I've always loved that about myself. Yeah. She's already uncomfortable.
I've always loved just like my facial features. I love my eyes, my lashes. I love a lot, and like my lips. Yeah, I just feel like my mom always grew up telling me that I have beautiful eyes, beautiful lips, and so I've always just loved like the features here and my round face too. I have a really round face. Yeah.
Okay. Period. This is so random, but like I love my calves. My mom, I think this is genetics. I've always had calves that I've just loved because those calves have got me through a lot. And yeah, I don't know. I've always had bigger calves than most people, I feel.
No, I know what you mean. Mine is the other body part, my thighs. I've always loved my thighs. I think I just have really pretty legs. Like I'm pretty muscular, as my aunt would say. You know, musculo. Yeah, just always loved my thighs.
Love that.
Yeah.
I also love my hair. I think like I grew up with like really straight hair, and it's starting to, even though it's not nearly as wavy, curly as yours is, but mine has started to get so long, so wavy too now. So I'm turning into my dad now. And I love it.
That's so
I love
cute.
it. Yeah.
It's pretty. Oh my God. I think my gap.
Period. Oh my God. Yeah. We both have
yes. Oh yeah. Wait, I remember about your sister. Yeah, I think that's another thing I forgot. My mom always taught me to embrace my gap, and I remember going to the dentist. Yeah, and I'd be like, "No, I love my gap, and I know we'll never close it." Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. That's a good one.
Yeah, it makes me different.
Cute.
Like I have a different smile than everybody else.
Love that. Yeah. And these are the things that are natural about that people have passed down to us.
Yeah,
this is what has been passed down to us, and that's what's beautiful about it.
Literally,
don't cry.
Love.
Okay, y'all. Well, we're gonna close it out with our weekly small business, local business shout out. I'm gonna shout out Organica. I just went to Organica, which is a business that Ixchel recommended to me is it Montebello? Technically, it's Montebello. I think it's Montebello, Monterey Park. Anyways, Montebello, so good. Oh my gosh, the owner is amazing. So if y'all have not been, you guys should check it out. They have some amazing juices, smoothies. Their avocado toast was so good. Loved it. They were amazing. Yes. So shout out to Organica Juice Bar.
I love them.
Yeah.
Mine is Vida Pura because of you. Yes. She put me on. She was like, you got to go try the muffin.
The muffin.
The muffin.
The breakfast muffin.
Breakfast muffin.
Dude,
with the hash brown. Oh my goodness. It is so good. Like
I just had it yesterday.
I know. I saw your story. I'm like, maybe I'll get it later. Yeah, they're good. So and their coffee and their matcha, like everything is so great. And then you told me a little bit about their story. So I was like, oh, I love it even more.
Yeah. And they're completely plant-based.
Love them.
These are some good recs this week.
I know.
Ooh,
shout out.
Yeah, shout out.
No, we both recommended each other.
Yeah, literally. Oh my God. And they were both, they lived up to the hype. They lived up to the hype. Awesome. And then what's your one wellness tip for the day?
Wellness tip of the day is to slow down. Yeah, I just feel like I got back from a work trip. I was just kind of like moving super fast, and I feel like I now have time to like slow down and just, you know, catch up with my things.
Love that.
But yeah, that's it.
Sort of on a similar note, but like give yourself 30 minutes in the day to do something for yourself. Yeah. That's my tip. Like even if it's walking for 30 minutes, even if it's reading, you deserve to give yourself that little time in the day, even at a work day. Like give yourself some time to do something that you love. Because that's what's going to get you through the day, and that's what's going to continue to remind you of the things that you love and you're working towards more. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for sticking with us for another episode. We're so grateful to have you all here as a community. And if this episode spoke to you, feel free to share it with your amigas, your homegirls, your primas, anybody that would relate to it.
And make sure to follow us on Instagram or on TikTok at Healing in Spanglish. And please subscribe wherever you're listening to right now on Spotify or on YouTube. The support allows us to continue having these conversations with you all. And so we are so, so grateful.
Hasta la próxima, con mucho amor.